Hey everybody, welcome to the live stream. Really excited to be on the live stream today. We got a very special guest who's talking to us. We've got Tejay Van Garderen. He is a celebrity rider at the Gran Fondo. He just flew in from Spain yesterday, and he's here in Michigan, in Grand Rapids, talking to us. So we're so excited to have him. So Tejay is a former American professional roadway cyclist. He is the celebrity rider at this year's Gran Fondo, happening tomorrow. In 2021, Tejay retired from professional cycling after beginning his professional career in 2008, and he is now the sports director for EF-Education EasyPost. He's won numerous races around the world, and he is here. And exciting also was the top two-time top 5 finisher at the Tour de France. Now, Tejay's here to talk about his career and about the big Gran Fondo tomorrow. Tejay, thanks so much for joining us on the live stream.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So you just flew in from Spain. Tell me a little bit about your current role in leading the team, being the sports director.
Yeah, it was a big transition. Like you just said, I stopped my racing career in 2021. You know, being a professional athlete, it always has a certain shelf life, so you can't do it forever. And luckily, they were able to slot me right in as a sports director. And I had to shift my mindset on how do I, perform for myself or do my own job. And now I'm trying to think of how do I get 8 riders to kind of come together as one for a goal, and how to deal with the different, the egos on the team, and balance people's ambitions. And it's a lot of research that goes into course reconnaissance. I mean, honestly, I took a lot of my sports directors for granted. Throughout my career, because I just thought, we had the harder job, which I still think cyclists, that they have the harder job, but seeing how much goes into it, it's a pretty cool thing.
So what got you into cycling so many years ago, especially starting so young?
Well, I have a European father, hence my almost impossible to pronounce last name, Van Garderen. And he grew up racing as a club cyclist and an amateur cyclist, and he would always have the Tour de France on, or always the classics on. So I kind of caught the bug from him. When I was somewhere around 10 years old, an old roommate of his had left a bike in his closet, and he was a shorter guy. And so as soon as I could, lift my leg over the bike and actually reach the pedals, I started going on some of the club rides, just the Monday night rides, doing some of the Tuesday night races. And in Bozeman, Montana, I was the only junior out there, which, was a blessing and a curse, because like a lot of people thought, oh, it's so cool seeing this kid out here. So everyone wanted to give me encouragement and help. And but it was a little bit like I was the only one out in just a sea of adults. So but I stuck with it. I mean, and over the years, I started getting better and better, and going to the Tuesday night races and actually starting to win them. And then I just started competing in nationals, saving up money from delivering newspapers, mowing lawns, sweeping the floors at the salon that my mom worked at to raise money to go drive across the country to compete in junior nationals. Won a few of those, got on the national team, and then it just kind of went one thing after another.
I mean, it's a long career too. I mean, you've had so many milestones. Walk me through some of those like really memorable parts of your career.
Yeah, I mean, the career, it had so many different phases to it. Like you said, I started back in 2008. That was when I was on Rabobank's Continental team. And so there you're with a group of young guys, and they all kind of have the same goal. They all want to get into the world tour. They want to make decent money and be a real pro cyclist. And so you're just kind of scrapping there. But I remember like having a really close bond with a lot of those guys. A lot of the guys from that team and my year went pro and had nice careers. Being a first year in the world tour in 2010, that was just like, I was just kind of blown away at the level of support, that now we have the nicest bike, and we have the power meters and the electronic shifting. And I'm looking over and I see Tony Martin and Mark Cavendish, they're on my team now. And I'm like, it was just so surreal. And then, yeah, fast forward, well, actually that year at the Dauphiné, I finished in third place, and I think from then on it was a bit like I had a little bit of the limelight shine in my face, because
Yeah.
I think people were looking for maybe the next Lance Armstrong, which I never was able to live up to that, but I think that kind of was when people started thinking like maybe we have our next Tour de France winner. Was able to get fifth place in the Tour a couple of times, but which is also a highlight. And but then then fast forward to the later part of my career, when I joined EF-Education EasyPost, I was over 30, so now I'm kind of more of a veteran rider. My roles, I still wanted to perform, and I still was able to get a couple of nice results, but I shifted more into the mentor and the helping and the guiding some of the younger guys, and guys like Danny Martinez, Sergio Higuito, and Hugh Carthy. And that's what really kind of sparked my interest in being a director post-career, is because I spent those last couple of years already kind of in that mentorship role, and more of the helper role.
Wow. Yeah, and so you're almost like kind of getting ready to be a sports director, like when you were still part of a team.
Yeah, that's you said it perfectly. That's I mean, like I said, the lifespan of a professional athlete, it has a shelf life, and it kind of just follows this arc of like you're getting to the point where you're at your best, and then you're at your best and you can hold that for a couple of years, and then once you're past your best, you have to find a way to keep yourself in the game and relevant, and if that's helping or mentoring. And that fed in perfectly to sports directing.
So you live in Spain now with your family. You have two kids, and you're living there working with the team. What brings you to Grand Rapids, Michigan, back here in the States?
Well, I'm going to be doing some commentary for NBC Sports this July, and
On the Tour de France, yes.
on the Tour de France.
So make sure you watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Tune in. And Brent Bookwalter, who was a teammate of mine for 7 years on BMC, he put me in touch with Bob Hughes, and who's the coordinator of the Gran Fondo, and he said they're looking for a rider, and I was just like, absolutely. When I found out what it was about and what and the cause and everything that they were doing, I was just like, you know what, I can afford one more week away from home and make this one happen.
Well, we appreciate you coming in. I know all the cyclists who are riding were really excited when they saw your name as a celebrity rider, and especially too, so Mary Free Bed is the beneficiary of this race. So people who are riding this race are raising funds to support our hospital within a wheelchair and adaptive sports, our recreational therapy department, and our new Jones Secchia Children's Rehabilitation Hospital. So you also had the chance to kind of walk around and get a quick tour before we did this interview. What did you think, like walking in and kind of seeing the facility?
Man, I was blown away. It's just so all encompassing, and like there's parts of rehabilitation that I had never even really thought of. I mean, of course, being a pro athlete for almost 15 years, it's you're going to have your share of injuries, and you're going to have to do some rehabilitation. So I thought I kind of knew what it was all about, but I think it's one of those forgotten parts of medicine. It's one of those things where people want to fix the problem, and once your problem's fixed, you go home and you're kind of forgotten about. But this is like, it's like, no, there's a long process. Once you're fixed, you're not really fixed until you go through months and months and months of this rehabilitation. And sometimes I saw, they had like this sort of makeshift supermarket where you're just reaching on a shelf. And my idea of rehabilitation was, can I get back and, ride 50 kilometers an hour down some French mountains? Sometimes it's something much more simple than that, being able to pick something off of a shelf. And so that it was really, really humbling walking around and seeing like, okay, this is what true rehabilitation means.
Well, we thank you for taking the time to do that. And you mentioned, your injuries. You had a couple over your career, and so it's like your own little like time of like bouncing back from an injury. Like, was that tough for you? Did you feel like unmotivated? Like, was it hard to kind of recover after those couple things? Was any of the injuries worse than another that took more time?
Yeah, so the one injury that sticks out in my mind was I was in the 2015 Vuelta a España, so it was kind of towards the end of the year, and I got caught up in this pretty bad crash where I just broke my humerus, I broke my heel, and I had some tears in my lungs, and that was the one that took the longest to come back from. Luckily, I had the off season because the Vuelta was at the end of the year, so I had a few months until the next season started to where I could really properly do the rehab. The thing that was the hardest for me was just how patient you have to be. Because sometimes, especially being a pro athlete, or you want to do more. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the only thing you can do is rest. And sometimes I was like, all right, if this bone is healing, maybe I can go for a walk, but my heel is broken. So I was kind of stuck, and I was getting antsy and anxious, and I almost had to practice like meditation just to keep myself from going crazy, because I couldn't really exercise at all. But I definitely remember all those sort of tedious things, like if I'm training my body for a race, it's exciting. You climb up a mountain, or you're going 50K an hour in an aerodynamic position or something, and it's fun. A lot of the rehab I was doing was I would take cans of soup and just kind of lift them to make sure that my shoulder and my rotator cuff and everything was getting its strength back. And even though it's important work to do, it's not as exciting. It's not as fun. It's not as glamorous. But that was the work that needed to be done. And it took an incredible amount of patience, an incredible amount of like just mind over matter. And also telling myself that, look, don't be afraid to lose this fitness, because once I do this rehab properly, then that's the only way I can come back to the level that I'm accustomed to.
Is there any advice you'd give to somebody? Maybe either they're not a professional athlete or they are, but they come across that hurdle, that like roadblock to them, and it's like, now I got to recover before I can get back to that level. Any advice you'd give to them in recovery?
Yeah, I would say you have to be patient. Don't speed up the process. There's, the process is there for a reason, and just be confident that it will come back. And yeah, I mean, I was in my early 20s when this happened, so I was probably a little less worldly or knowledgeable. It's probably a bit more antsy than I should have been. But just take your time and do it the right way. And I don't know. I think John Wooden had a good quote: "If you don't have time to do it right, when are you going to have time to do it over?" And that's like, I think that just says it all.
That's awesome right there. Yeah. So once again, we are talking to Tejay Van Garderen. He is the celebrity rider for the Gran Fondo. This is happening Saturday, June 28th. We thank you guys so much for watching this. We got a few more questions for Tejay, and we appreciate his time. So there's still time to get out and get involved in the Gran Fondo. You can register, and you can volunteer. You can help fundraise. You can go to grandfondo.com for more information for that. So we want to thank you guys so much for watching this. We got a few more questions, and some of the stuff I want to ask too. We have a couple of our clinicians who work here who sent in some questions to ask you, and so we want to make sure that we get to those. So first one is, what was it like, going from a racer to now directing the racers? What's been the hardest part of that transition?
I mean, honestly, the hardest part was standing up in front of the bus, getting ready to give a meeting when I had been one of the guys sat there looking up at somebody. It was the weirdest feeling, guys who I was just out on the road with, who I had been teammates with for a number of years. And it was just this, it's like, wow, all of a sudden I'm not one of you. I'm kind of up here and all the eyes are up on me. I felt, that was the most awkward feeling I had ever felt. But I got used to it, and now it's pretty normal.
And another question from our team. Some of the top male riders are now multidisciplinary. Do you think that you're going to see more riders start to be like that?
I think so. I mean, I think cycling is changing so much, and a lot of the guys who have come through the system of being a road racer and just training on the road and doing the long miles, I think they're just now starting to realize that's not even the right approach. Sometimes the super high intensity, like shorter efforts, and now if you want to just get that endurance, you kind of just need to eat more. So yeah, guys like Pidcock who also do mountain bike and cyclocross, guys like Van Aert who do cyclocross, Vanderpool does mountain biking, cyclocross. I mean, I think that's kind of the new thing that we, in a different way that we saw with Great Britain with the Team Sky with Bradley Wiggins and Geraint Thomas all coming from the track. It was like these short, super high-end explosive efforts that translated actually much better to the higher speeds that you're seeing now in the peloton.
Wow, it's just so interesting to hear this from you. So learning a little bit about Mary Free Bed in wheelchair and adaptive sports, and what's really exciting too is that this Gran Fondo, we've got hand cyclists who they've got spinal cord injuries, could be amputations. They're using these bikes where they lie down on the ground and they pedal with their hands. And they're going to be riding right alongside able body on traditional cycles. How important is it to have like these community events? And why is it important to have like access to sports for people with all abilities?
I mean, it's massively important. It gives this feeling of inclusion, but also, I don't know. I just think humans, they're just innately competitive people. Mm-hmm. And whether that's competitive being like racing the Tour de France or just like trying to set a little Strava KOM or just racing your friends to the town sign heading into town. The feeling of competition, that's what that's what builds community. That's what builds teamwork and camaraderie. And if you're coming back from an injury, those are the kind of things that can give you hope too, to be able to still have that sense of team and unity and camaraderie and not just, you're injured, now it's done. Like that's, you'd kind of lose a little hope if you lost the sport.
Mm-hmm. So once again, we're talking to Tejay Van Garderen, a celebrity rider for the Gran Fondo. We're watching some video from last year. It's a really fun event. There's still time to get registered. You can get registered to ride the race. There's an 80-mile course. There is a 40-mile, a 25-mile, and a 12-mile. You can also help fundraise. All funds go to Mary Free Bed Rehabilitation, our children's rehabilitation hospital, the recreational therapy department, and our wheelchair and adaptive sports. And also, we're still looking for volunteers. There's a lot of volunteer opportunities that are still there. So after we are done talking here, TJ is going to have a ride, and then he's also going to be coming to there's a VIP fundraiser event for some of the top fundraisers that have been going. So TJ is going to do a little Q&A with Bob, talk a little bit more about his career and what he's learned. Before we wrap up, TJ, I really want to appreciate you and are so thankful for you talking with us. What is some advice that you have for young and future riders? What would you tell them if they're getting into cycling as a sport, maybe trying to think about it being professional? What would you say to them?
I'd say keep it fun, work hard. There's definitely no shortcuts. What you get out of this sport is what you put into it. But I think it's a great way to keep kids on the right track, not going to the high school parties and all that stuff. Like it gives you a good reason to really take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. But first and foremost, keep it fun and find that sense of community.
Awesome. Well, TJ, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Good luck with your travels out to California after this. And thank you so much for talking with us, and have fun out on the race. Once again, we are talking about the Grand Rapids Gran Fondo, Saturday, June 22nd. We've been talking to the 2024 celebrity rider, Tejay Van Garderen. And remember to watch your Tour de France coverage on NBC, where you'll see him on the panel talking about the race. So good luck with that. Are you prepped and ready with knowing all the riders? And how the Tour de France is going to go?
Ooh, I still got a little bit of research to do on the course and everything, but they're the same riders who I compete against all year when I'm directing the guys, so I shouldn't have a problem.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much all for watching, and there's still time to get out to the Gran Fondo. Go to grgrandfondo.com. Thanks for watching, and stay well.